Welcome to Sip and Seek. Welcome. Thank you for coming out here. Next thing is, obviously, shout out to Shaykh Saad, a real gem in our community, and we should all try to benefit from his knowledge as much as we can. So today's topic, I'm sure you guys are aware, is finding the right spouse. And I know some of you guys may be a little bit bummed about the bonfire. We were trying something new and it didn't work. So inshallah, we're gonna try again and make it better. And inshallah, it's gonna be free next time. As far for the Q&A, there will be a QR code that will go up closer to the end of the talk. And please, if you do take pictures, support us on Instagram by tagging us so our views will go up. And as well as drinks will be served by complimentary after the Q&A. So thanks for complimentary.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Alhamdulillah, we gather here another month. And honestly, really another week after what was a pseudo sip and seek last Saturday with Mufti Abdul Wahab. And if you weren't able to catch that, please go do so at the MEC Masjid YouTube page. Very important topic, and that is finding the right spouse. In a day and of these other terms that describe different feelings, people then begin to ask, based upon this, do I get married? How do I get married? To whom do I get married? When they look at Western standards and ideals, that points them in one direction. When they look at cultural standards and ideals, sometimes that may take them to a different direction. When they look at religious ideals and standards, sometimes there's some ambiguity and confusion. Today, alhamdulillah, we're joined by a very special guest interviewer who is going to allow us to delve deeply into the topic as to how to find the perfect spouse. Brother Masood Muhammad graduated from Loyola, or is in his senior year at Loyola University, majoring in information technology and minoring in information systems and business analytics. He's a former youth of MCC board member, and on top of that, he's just a very devoted community member and someone who's been active for many, many years. It's very easy sometimes for me to sit here as the imam, but to bring a fresh perspective of someone who's not married, and someone who's seeking to marry, and someone who's in the shoes of the people who sort of need to guide us in a direction that will benefit all of us. Jazak for joining us this evening.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Just to clear the thing, I am not qualified to speak whatever Shaykh Saad. Like, Shaykh Saad is a person with knowledge. I'm just here to just ask those questions for him, okay?
I didn't catch half of that, but inshallah. But you can just move forward.
Okay. So first question that I have is, when you think about like finding the right spouse, right? What is like, how do you prepare yourself?
Bismillah. So I'm no expert at marriage. I've been married for a long time, but being married doesn't make you an expert. Sometimes you realize how flawed you are in the process. So for me, it's been 273 months.
I think that's pretty good.
That's just time.
I think you're more than qualified.
Well, if you had someone who's in college for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years undergrad, would you say they're a qualified student? You probably would say no. Time doesn't really dictate that much. But
just to mention, you do know, like, you know the exact month, time, and everything. I'm pretty sure that's very romantic for your wife, so I think you're qualified for that.
Well, actually, it's a very important thing that you mentioned, because the reason why I started this is because I'm actually very strict on birthday kids. Happy birthday, my wife, happy birthday, nothing like that. I don't believe it's permissible. I'm not saying it's haram. The opinion I take is that. But others do, and I don't stop them. In fact, sometimes in my home, my wife or my parents will come and like bring cupcakes for a kid who's having a birthday. Then I will get up and leave. And then I'll tell my daughter, for example, that, look, I love Mama, Mama loves me. I just have a different opinion. And she's like, I understand. And I just go pray and I come back and we're okay. So anyway, so why I started this was because I'm like, well, I don't want to do anniversary. Because what does anniversary show? That I was able to read the calendar once a year. Doesn't really show much. Like, am I really that romantic, or do I care that much? And by the way, romance is a very important part in Islam. If you look at the Prophet ﷺ, we all to the home of Aisha radiallahu anha, and he drinks, she's drinking from a cup, and then he asks her, can I have some of it, like save some for me? And then he asks, which point, where do you drink from? And she points, and he turns the cup and puts his lips where her lips touch. That didn't happen when he was 25. That was when he was 60. So that romance doesn't leave unless you push it away. Romance is supposed to be part and parcel of marriage. And so for me, I felt it was very important to know how, and I can look at the date and see, oh, it's this many days and this many months, because it's an important thing to me. Now, having said that, go back to the original question about marriage. Everyone, so I'm going to actually veer off the question for a moment. Not everyone has to get married. I think we should establish that right away. There were great scholars who didn't get married. There were great mujahideen, great sahaba who didn't get married. So not everyone will want to get married. Not everyone it will be written for everyone to get married. And that's important to note right away, because it could be a goal in life, but it shouldn't be such a mile marker that if you don't hit it, that you failed. People could be successful religiously, secularly, professionally, and never have married. So the question for someone before they look at how to prepare is, even marriage, is it for me? And this is why for some people it's fard, some people it's wajib, some it's sunnah, some it's mustahab, some it's makruh, some it's haram for them to get married. So there are categories like that.
How do you define the categories? Like, how do you know what category you fall?
Okay, it's a good question. So let's say, for example, you have someone who's financially able to marry, and they have strong desire that's getting to a point it's hard to control. And everything is set in life, it's fard for them to get married. They could be considered sinful for not marrying, because every day they don't marry, they fall closer into the realm of zina. Take the opposite perspective. Someone who cannot remain faithful, someone who cannot take care of their spouse's needs, someone who, all of these things like they can't do, and then they go into marriage and now they ruin someone's life as a result. Or in between will be something in between. Okay. Yeah.
So basically, like, you first had to like define your goals and everything before marriage, right? What are some goals that you defined yourselves, and like a purpose that you like still have today that you're achieving? How did you get those concrete first before you got into marriage?
So personal goals or marriage-based goals?
Both. Let's go with both.
I married young. I married when I was 21, which is not really young. So I told my boys, one is 19, one is 17. Like, once you're 17, 18, let me know. We'll help you get married. So even being married 21, sorry?
Are they married yet, by the way?
No, they're not.
Oh,
they're not. One started college a year and a half ago. One's a junior in high school over here. Because I never planned on my kids going to public school. So I always thought it'd be really cool, like if they're like juniors and seniors in high school and they're married. So like everyone's going out on Friday night, and he's also going out on Friday night, but that didn't happen. But anyway, regardless, so I married younger, not very, very young, relatively young. So I don't think I had set goals. I just knew I was someone who wanted to get married. Alhamdulillah, I didn't date. That was something Allah protected me from. In general, I stayed away from unnecessary interaction. So my heart really yearned to have like a soulmate. And it was something that I wanted. I felt incomplete without it. So one of my goals early on was to find someone to marry. And that doesn't go over well when your dad, mashallah, my dad's a wonderful person, but he married in his early 30s. Here I am, 19, coming to him saying, I think it's time. He's like, I think it's time. You barely graduated high school. Like, what are you talking about? So that was a goal for me, just to marry young.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also had the same problem. My dad got married like late 20s or something, like around 29. I just brought it as a joke that I want to get married early, and he's like losing his mind right now.
My dad did the same thing. Yeah.
So, so we got the purpose point defined right now. So when it comes to like,
Whoa, did we?
all right,
I'm saying like, so is your goal, a question about goals or purpose?
at first I was asking about goals, but I was trying to move into purpose after.
Okay, so now, if you're some students of knowledge, let's say you're studying Deen, I would say if you're someone young, because you have a clear goal that you want to complete a course or memorize Quran or do A, B, and C, a wife, a husband, children, they will get in the way. was very hard to study while being married. It's very, very hard. Let's say you're someone who wants to, your parents had already established a goal. Until you get into med school, you can't marry. Don't think about it early. It's not easy, but if you make that a goal, I'm going to marry young, and they already said you can't marry until you're in residency, there's going to be conflict. So identify what your personal goals are. Someone's like, I want to be a millionaire by 25. Don't marry, because that's going to come in your way. But if someone's like, I'm content with these steps, then yeah, you can look into it.
Got you.
Yeah.
I'm still like formulating the questions and everything.
It's okay.
I got asked this very last minute, so I'm like preparing on the go.
Yeah, I was the one who asked.
Yeah. The next point I want to talk about is like physical attractions and everything.
It's very important.
Because a lot of like men, like I think the stigma now is like men have to have six packs, like they have to be physically fit,
Yeah.
have a 6K figure, like
Which figure?
6K like money wise and everything.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know why I brought that up.
Okay.
Like going back to like physical attraction, how do you like? What is like the Islamic way of like what to look for in like physical attractions?
Look, physical attraction is very important. The Prophet ﷺ, one Sahabi came to him and was told him, I'm going to get married. The Prophet asked, did you look at her? He said, no, nice little young, righteous, pious. It increases love. So it's important to know you're attracted to the person. In fact, I don't take pictures personally, but if you take pictures, I'm a big proponent that early on you exchange pictures. Because what happens, talks are happening, everything's good, you guys matching up everywhere. Okay, now let me see how she looks, let me see how he looks. And you see, you're like, oh, that breaks the person's heart. So early on, see, is there an attraction there? It doesn't have to be, he doesn't have to be like a 10 out of 10, she doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10, but something that draws your heart towards that person. That's necessary. And everyone should know what they find attractive, not what their friends find attractive. I see so many people come and they say, oh, I'm engaged to so-and-so, what do you think? Why are you even asking? Because first of all, now you're asking to look at her, which is, you have no honor if that's the case. But secondly, why does that person's input affect you? If you find something about someone or someone in general attractive, that's what matters, not what the rest of the world thinks. And it's important to separate what societal norms are from what you find to be beautiful. Society can say, like I had a friend who finds like a lot of hair. He's like, he got divorced, he's looking to remarry. He's like, Saad, just help me find someone. She needs to have a lot of hair. It should be big hair or curly hair, like afro hair or curly hair. I'm like, bro, you're asking me something I can't help you with. Can't look and identify that sister's such and such. He's like, ask your wife, maybe she could help me. I'm like, maybe, we'll see. But the idea is that you should know what you like. And don't worry about society says, oh, kya gori hai? Like, is she light skinned and things like that? Like, why is that important? Some people will find someone dark attractive. Some people will find someone plump attractive. Some will find someone who's very skinny attractive. It's all across the board. Know what you like. And don't budge on that. Now, of course, it shouldn't be he's 6'1.5" or else I'm not going to marry him. No. But if you prefer someone taller, then don't settle for someone who's smaller or shorter unless there's some reason behind it. Why? Because then later in life you start playing the comparison game. Oh man, my husband's only 5'6". Like my wife's taller than me, right? So like my husband's only 5'6". Look at all these other guys who are taller. I'm not saying she would ever think that way, but those things are important to know. What you have is a physical deal breaker, understand it and go with it. But at the same time, be practical. The majority of guys do not have six packs. They don't, okay?
I don't.
So I'm just saying the majority don't. And so don't go searching for that. But if you're going to search for it, it's important for you. Alhamdulillah, it is what it is.
Moving on from physical attraction, actually it's a side question I have. What if you get matched with someone, but like they have good qualities, but physically you don't find them attractive, and like the talking already happened and they got to like a later process where they exchange photos? How do you move on from there? Like you're not physically attracted to them.
I know one person, actually prays here sometimes. So you may have seen this, I'm not going to say who it is, was matched with someone and was not physically attracted to that person. And he felt it was better to, for the sake of Allah, not break her heart. And so he didn't mention it to her. And they've been married for a good period of time. And everything seems fine. So what's my point? My point is it depends. If you're this type of person who looks are very important, then I wouldn't cave in and just say, oh, my parents are asking, so I'm going to do it. Because parents can push something, but after a while, they're not going to be in the equation anymore. They're not going to be in the marriage itself. So if you're someone who's saying that looks are important, but they're not that important, all these other characteristics are important, and she or he has all of them, they check all the boxes, this one is partially there. Okay, if you do istikhara, it comes out well, go forward. But if you're someone who's like, no, looks are very important to me, then I would not budge on that. I would not compromise.
Then moving on from the physical attraction point. By the way, like all the questions I'm thinking right now, they're just like randomly. Like inshallah, if Allah wills, like we will combine together at the end.
Inshallah.
Yeah, make a big message. But a question that I always like, or something that I always think about is, when I feel like, for example, if I'm interested in someone, I approach them, right, and they cap like Allahu Alam, like they say no or like it doesn't work out. How like the fear that like, oh, they're gonna start spreading about me, they're gonna start like, it's gonna be like they're gonna talk back like talking bad about me, or like I don't know, like it's like that you have that fear like I'm gonna look down upon from others when I approach someone else for another interest, like if I'm interested in someone else. Like how do you handle that, or like how should you just like move on? And how does the person who like said no to that person in the beginning because they didn't find their qualities or physical, like whatever, attractive, like they didn't find them qualified for them, how do you like make sure their reputation is still at stake and they can still move on and make a living out like from someone else? And how should you move on?
Okay. So a couple of things. First things first, I would never approach a person directly. I'm very against that. As a father of 2 girls, I have 3 boys and 2 girls, alhamdulillah. If a guy came and approached my daughter directly, even if they hit it off, it'd be a no. Because I would tell my daughter that he was so unmanly that he couldn't come and face me, and he had to convince you to bring it up to me or whatever you guys then came up with your plan and came forward. I have no confidence that he can take care of you when after marriage. So, good.
Quick note, what if the guy is like, he has no connection to you, but he has connection to your daughter, and he like started speaking to her, like they met each other in college or something like that. So how would you handle it then?
So let's just take my daughter. She's 11, but let's...
We don't need to use your daughter.
It's okay, she's 11. I mean, it's okay. Let's pretend she's 21. She's in college. And some guy starts talking to her. And he realizes, like he's just talking to her for school stuff. And then he realizes that this is something I want to pursue. If he goes and talks to her about marriage before talking to me, it would be a very hard sell for me. If he realizes that I want to marry her or at least consider her, my expectation would he would come to me. Or at least he'd approach his parents and they would approach me. And the reason for this is because there's propriety in everything. Everything has an appropriate way to approach it. If you're going to go directly to my daughter and talk to her, whoever this daughter is, then what you're saying is that there are certain expectations of him as a man that Islamically, socially, societally, it's there. I'm going to just shun them for a moment and just try to take a backtrack in. And at that point, I'm going to think, 15 years from now, something's going to happen. You're going to try to take a shortcut out there as well. Whereas the person speaks to my daughter and then realizes, you know what, I'm attracted, I want to marry her, for whatever they're in class, or just consider her, and then he comes to me or has his parents approach me, I would then say, okay, this guy is a man. The parents could talk about, what do you want to do? Let's let them talk a little. Fine, let's let them talk a little. Or let's not let them talk. Fine. Like, there are cultural norms that we can go by. Sometimes, literally, the person approaches the parents, and the parents talk to other parents, and they say, let's let them talk. So there's almost nothing change except for a formal connection between the parents. But that, what it does, it shows the family the seriousness of it. Because look, you're a guy and I'm a guy. I'm 44, you're not 44. So I've lived pretty much double your life, a little less. And guys are not well-intentioned. And stop pretending like you are. Guys in general are not well-intentioned. And sisters, mashallah, all pure, they think, oh, this guy is so good.
Can you take our side right now, though?
Say it again?
Can you take the guy side for now?
I'm going to get to the guy side. I have a lot of things against both sides and pro both sides as well. So the guys are not always well-intentioned. Yeah, maybe some of these masjid-going guys might be. But the majority of guys out there are not.
I mean, we all know why the masjid guys still come to the masjid.
For prayer.
So they can talk to the guy.
Yeah, the recitation. Anyway, so that is definitely there. So, it's not haram to approach her, but it just shows that the person is not ready yet, in my eyes. That's how I feel. You could say, bro, you're living in the dark ages. That's fine. That's fine. But I have two daughters. It was funny, I was just talking to my brother about this today, about marriage for some other reason. And we were talking about after Asr prayer, and I was clear about it. We were talking about, one of the things that came to mind was, I have two older sons. One's 19, one's 17. So youngest, then I have a younger son who's 7. My older ones, they work out, they do MMA. I work out, I do combat sports as well. Why? One of the reasons, aside from jihad, being a strong believer, etc., is when a guy comes to my daughter, you should look at those two brothers and say, I'm not messing around with this. You should look at the dad and say, I'm not messing around with this. I'm going to do this properly. And I think that's a very important thing. And if not, there's no one to protect the women. And I know some women say, well, no, we don't need protection. Fine, you don't need protection. But many other women do. And Islam built its perspective of women as individuals that the deen protected. And marriage is a method for that. And if the method for protection has shortcuts behind it, I don't think it's correct.
How would you go about the guy reaching out to a girl through social media?
I wouldn't. Look, sometimes you have to know who you're asking the question to. If people are like, okay, so, brother, I have a question. What do you think about biryani? Horrible, never eat it. Like, who are you talking to? You're talking to a trainer asking about biryani, it's not going to work. So you have to know who you're asking a very conservative guy when it comes to this. So I would say you don't reach out over social media. You find someone that you like, and you do research about her. Do some basic research about her.
How do you do basic research?
Okay, so very simple. Sister sees a guy at school that, mashallah, MSA president, good khutbahs, whatever. I don't know what sisters are attracted to, but they find someone who's attractive. Maybe very well spoken in class, very well groomed, and keeps himself very kempt and good demeanor and very respectful. And she's like, this could be a potentially good husband. Now at this point, do some research. Find out about this guy. Find out some basic questions. What's his name? Some people don't even know the name. I've had situations where people came and gave me the wrong name. I'm finding out background information for a guy about a girl, and he's like, that's the wrong girl. I'm like, that's the name you gave me. He's like, oh, I don't know her name. So if you don't have enough basic information, you know her name, there's an issue. So find out his name. Find out what he's majoring in. What's his family? His family background may be, like I had a situation that came to the masjid here a little while ago. Young, very nice Gujarati young man, 20-something years old, I don't want to say the exact age. He came and he said that he found someone, and she was from Afghanistan. So he wanted to go about it right. Can you find out about her for me? Use my connections, found out things. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to inquire now. So we went through the connection to the father. The father said, we're only looking for people from Afghanistan. Okay, that's it. The hearts didn't deeply connect such that now they're like, oh my God, now I don't want to live anymore. My life is over, because they did the proper background information. Go find out about the person. If it meets what you're looking for, then take step 2. Now step 2 varies. Step 2 varies, but for me, step 2 is now go to someone who can help you. Usually a parent or an uncle or an aunt, someone who can help formalize this approach. And most parents nowadays will tell you, just talk to the person on your own, tell me, are you compatible? But at least you got the approval. Because every so often, every like 4 or 5 cases out of 10, I see the same thing. I see daughters or sons coming and they're just in tears. What happened? Oh, we spoke and we're completely compatible and we want to get married, but the dad found out that I'm talking, so he said, no, over my dead body. That does happen. But if you go this route, you're able to avoid that. So what should you look over social media if you're going to use social media? I don't have social media. Fine, look at the social media. If their posts are problematic, if they're showing posts about people who are exposed physically, or doing acts that go against your core values and beliefs, those types of things should be warning signs. And you know, people always say, oh, I'll change the person. Garbage. No one ever gets married and changes someone. They get changed. I've changed so much in marriage. I used to be very conservative. I'm relatively liberal now. I know it doesn't look like it, but like my wife really softened my heart over this period of time where she made me sort of realize reality from my ideal world. You don't go in changing people. So see what that person believes in. See what their core tenets of their life, of their goals are. If this person wants to study deen, we just had a case like this. This person wants to study deen, became a scholar, married someone. She didn't want to study deen. She had no care for deen. But why they married? Because they were attracted physically. So now a year and a half later, they're just at each other's throats. Of course. All of those things that after the honeymoon phase, that fades away. Because beauty is there, but beauty fades away.
Yeah.
Beauty fades away. This is why people are married to these supermodels or these athletes, etc. And then or not married, they're living together for 6 months, 1 year. Then they break up. You're like, how could you break up with him or her? I would have loved to be with that person. Because beauty fades. You see the internal reality. So if those things are not matching up over their posts on social media, that's a warning sign. And I always advise people, have what I call deal breakers. Deal breakers are things that you will not budge on. For example, when I was getting married, I went to my sister and said, hey, can you ask, at that point, my fiance, these questions. Ask her if she's willing to study overseas. Because I was trying to go overseas when I was a senior in high school. It didn't work out. I studied locally, but I still wanted to go. So my sister's like, she just came back from Syria. She's very willing, they were friends. She's very willing to go overseas. I'm like, perfect. I'm like, check if she eats only zabiha meat. I was very strict, hand slaughter, zabiha. Because for me, I can't kiss someone who has something that I think is haram. Like, it's just, my wife eats shrimp. I think shrimp is makruh tahrimi. Difference of opinion. When she eats, I'm like, make sure you brush your, I can't.
You're missing out, by the way. Shrimp is.
I'm not missing out on anything.
Yes, you are.
The shrimp of Jannah is better. Okay? So,
Allah said allow us to eat it here.
So, what I'm saying is that, so that was a deal breaker, that non-zabiha meat. Another deal breaker for me was TV in the house. Now,
How's that?
I gave up TV and music when I was a sophomore. I don't want to go back to it. Now, interestingly enough, we have one in the house now. My wife played it smart. She waited 20 years.
Didn't your wife get your kid a Nintendo and you were arguing about it?
Yeah, we had that whole argument about the Nintendo and stuff. But
I only know the argument because you mentioned in the quick.
no. But the whole idea is that your deal breakers you shouldn't budge on. But if you budge on those, then you have no foundation. There should be certain things that you maintain your personality, your persona, your identity, who you are. The other stuff, if my wife's like, I want to live in town, out of town, okay, whatever, I'm good with that. And some people's deal breakers might be, I'm the eldest, you have to move in with my parents. Make that clear. Because what happens is some husbands say what? They say, it's okay if we don't live with my parents. Then they get married. Then a couple years later, my parents are old, I'm the eldest, we're going to move in. That's not fair to her. You should have presented that. This is a deal breaker. Oh, I don't want to say that because she would have said no. You've literally roped in someone to a marriage off of a lie. That's haram. You were sinful for that. And some scholars would even begin to talk about the permissibility of divorce there because you lied, you deceived her at that point. So those deal breakers are essential.
Moving on to the next topic, I want to talk about a conservative family. For example, my family is super conservative, so I don't even know how I'm going to talk to them about marriage thing, even if I find one. That's a whole different topic at the end. But how would let's say the girl's family, they're super conservative, and the guy's family, they're very lenient, they're okay with the guy finding someone, he wants to approach her, and everything is good, she's into him.
Happens all the time.
But how should the girl handle it if her family's they think oh no, I sent for example, a typical Daisy example is I sent her out to go study. Now she's talking to a guy oh my God, they go crazy. How should they handle it?
That's very common. So I'm going to take away Geiger. I'm going to say conservative versus liberal families just right now. So one side's conservative, one side's liberal, or less conservative, lenient. I like the way you put it. So the lenient family, they said, look, if you find someone, talk, let us know. The conservative person, guy or girl, should know, look, I come from a conservative background. Very early on, they should mention to the person who's talking that, look, it seems like our conversation is beyond just school. So if you have interest in me for marriage, I need you to talk to my parents. It's just not going to end well otherwise. This is the honesty that teenagers in early and late adolescence, mid-20s, etc., they don't have. They're not honest with themselves. Oh, I'll make it work out. I'll convince my parents. No, parents are also human beings. So the conservative side in a conservative, lenient, potential relationship should recognize that if I do certain things, it's going to sabotage or compromise this particular interaction. So when they see it's heading in that direction, they should openly say, look, my parents are from a very conservative background, or I come from a very conservative background. Can you talk to my parents? Just bring it up to them. And if they're okay with it, then we'll continue as both parents agree on. It's not as hard as people make it seem. I know people say, brother, you don't understand my family. Bro, I understand all families. And what do I understand? They're all different. You're either on this side, or somewhere in between. I can't pinpoint it, but in the end, you have to eventually man up or woman up and take that step. It's better to do it early on before the hearts get attached. And by the way, I just want to mention one more thing. Some people are probably like, man, why do we get this guy to talk about it? Well, it shouldn't have gotten me. But anyway, the other thing is that, there's a scholar in Jordan. He's from America, a convert. He mentions in his village in Jordan, most of the women tatanaqab, they wear niqab. So he said, he's in his 70s now. He said, my wife is the most beautiful woman to me. Either one, she really is, or two, it's because there's no women in our area for me to look at because they're all covered. Now, someone, high school, college, they're talking to people. They get to know a guy, get to know a girl. He makes her laugh, she makes him laugh. They've met multiple people like this, many people like this. Some they even consider for marriage. Then eventually, they marry later. Now, crack a joke. The spouse doesn't respond favorably. And then what does the person say? Man, because shaitan comes in. What's his problem? What's her problem? So-and-so always laughed at my jokes. They start comparing. Or this person doesn't make that much money. They're making, I don't know, it's still a lot for me, but $80,000 a year. And then they think after a couple years, man, that other person who I was talking to before, he's making $250K a year right now. Or she's making $250K a year right now. So they start this comparison. Or, I've seen this before. Get married, have a few kids. The husband, I don't know how he gains weight through pregnancy. It happens all the time. But the wife, it's understandable. So now the husband's looking at the wife's like, it's 3 kids in, she's already gained weight. So-and-so still hasn't gained weight. That comparison starts. But if you cut off the early relationships and there's no one to compare your spouse to, it's a beautiful thing. Because what are you going to say? One person who's older than me, he advised me, he was like, when you get married, wait for the first day you see your wife without hijab. It's an amazing thing. Now, if you're seeing every other person without hijab and you're going out with them, etc., the first time you hold hands, the first time you embrace, that's been happening every time through, it's not as valuable. So these things about cutting things off early, it has a great benefit later. Because for you, there's no comparison point. Shaitan loves the comparison points. And it doesn't have to compare your spouse to someone else when things are going good. It's when things go wrong, that's when he jumps in. So if you can cut those things out early and make sure that the conversations are only for marriage when they are in that arena properly, then you'll have less to worry about in comparison later in life.
That's a very interesting perspective. I didn't. Not many scholars speak about in that comparison part. Moving on from now there. Let's say two people meet, families, everything's figured out, and with a lot of guys, including me, a lot of guys now they're in the CS field, the computer science field, and job market is terrible. You can ask everyone here, half 75% people know it's bad. How should they move on financially? They get to let's say they get together, they get nikah done. That person has he has a job right now. It's stable enough to run the family, but it's not where you can start moving ladders into up to the next part of life. How should those couples handle this situation, financial situation in the beginning? What are some advices you give to help them grow closer to each other and move on to the next?
So you're saying after marriage. You're not saying before marriage.
After marriage, actually. You can give us both perspectives. Before marriage, how should the girl handle it when a guy is not financially ready?
Okay.
He has everything else is checked off except the financial part.
So the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned different things why people search for marriage. Maliha, jamaliha, hasabiha, diniha. There's one is wealth. Wealth is a real thing. Kufu, to see if you have social compatibility, that's a real thing. So a woman, she comes from a high-class family. The guy comes from not a high-class family. Yeah, when you fall in love, you're like, oh, love conquers all. Man, love for Allah conquers all. After that, everything is fair game in this dunya, okay? So they had this like false idea of love conquers all. By the way, love is very strong. In our deen, through Arabic, we have 11 levels of love. Some scholars say 14 levels of love. That's why I believe in love at first sight. I believe in falling in love because that falls in that first category of hawa. There's like, there's shaghaf, there's like hub, there's ishq, there's all these different levels that are there. So people early on, if they're looking for marriage, sometimes it's hard to get past that sort of falling in love. Like you sort of do fall for people. I mean, that was something that when I was younger, it's just all through high school, like you just fall for a person. Maybe that's why I'm an English teacher, right? Like we're all about like love stories, etc.
You probably write great poems, by the way, do you?
Say it again?
Do you like write great poems for your wife?
She doesn't, like, I actually just asked her the other day, hey, remember that song I wrote for you? And she's like, I don't remember. I was like, oh, great. But, yeah, I don't,
Sorry for bringing it.
It's not awkward. She's more, everyone has different love languages. Yeah, they have different love languages. My wife's a wonderful person. Like, I don't want to make it seem that, and she's read them before, and some things she'll think are good, some she won't. And anyway, so, so anyway, come back to what we were talking about for a moment. We're talking about, like, let's just say me, for example. I'm a teacher. My starting salary was $16,000.
A lot of guys' life right now.
Okay, so like a full-time job, 16 grand a year. Like wasn't easy. If you're someone, kufu, compatibility, where she's this high social economic class family, and you're not, really consider if this is gonna work. Now some might say, well, brother, Dean, it's okay. That's true. 10 years from now. When let's use the wife as an example right now, but we can flip it both ways. She's noticing her sisters, they're going on all these trips with their husbands, and here's this husband who's working 2 jobs to make ends meet. She may take it hard. So both parties should understand that. Both parties, if they're going to marry outside their socioeconomic class, they have to know what that means. And they truly have to know what it means. By the way, the daughters of the Prophet were like this. Zainab married someone who was middle class, Abu al-As, radiallahu anha, radiallahu anhu. They both separately married Uthman bin Affan, upper class. Fatima radiallahu anha, she married Ali radiallahu anhu, whose economic class was not from the upper and middle. I mean, his class he's amazing, but financially he wasn't earning like they were. So these sisters, they never had a comparison game. For it wasn't like, oh, you have this, why don't I have that? So if you're a person of that type of fortitude, yeah, that can happen. Often you see the parents that way. The parents will say, it's okay if he doesn't have, he's a good guy. She's a good girl. She's a good woman. Marry her. You guys don't make much to worry. We'll support you. Allah will provide. You'll hear that rhetoric. That's when you know that marriage will work. But when the marriage, for example, is like the parents think, why are you considering him? Why are you considering her? We're so much above. Then that's what a person grew up with. That will eventually rear its ugly head. Now, a person may not listen, but it's going to rear their ugly head. It's an ugly head. So before you get married, really consider socioeconomic class. Now, most of us are middle class anyway, but be careful about that. And then if a person's careful before marriage, into marriage is a lot easier. Like my wife, may Allah reward her, we got married, we moved in together, we got married in December of 2002. We didn't move in together until the end of May 2004. She had just finished college. I was working full-time and finishing college as well. Then we moved in with one another, and within a month I had this horrible accident where I'm left in a coma. The doctors, I'm not going to survive, like all that stuff. I couldn't work after that. Like when I got back on my feet, I couldn't even carry 20 pounds. So she was very patient. I had a Jeep Wrangler. I had to sell it to pay rent. Like she was very patient. So alhamdulillah, I married a good woman who wealth was not going to be a source of dissuading her from the greater path, which is Allah's happiness. Some people are good men, good women, who wealth is important, and that's okay. And don't think you can go in changing that person's mind, and then consider, maybe we should delay marriage a couple of years. I should make some more money, or we should delay marriage like 6 months, or maybe move in with my parents. Make some arrangements where you're not as financially stressed.
Going back to the process of like finding someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Have you ever heard this Tea Time app right now?
No.
Okay, so let me just get you up to date. So basically, there's this app.
What's an app? I'm joking.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you know that.
I have the Wise phone. Have you seen the Wise phone?
No.
No, the Wise phone. Like, this is my phone. This is.
What?
This is no, it's okay. There's no browser. That's why when I think out of the message, like the link for the questions, I mean, I don't have a browser on my phone. Mm-hmm. So.
Oh, we're running low on time, but just the last question that I have is, I think this is very crucial and very important. Basically, the Tea Time app is, it's only a girls-only use app. You have to, there's a lot of verification that girls have to go through. Once they go through that, basically, it's like where they upload the guy's photo there, and if they had like any previous relationships with them or like anything that if he's a green.
Interesting.
So let's say this guy like really bad, and then he's starting to improve, and then like now he's like he wants to get married. He's looking forward to.
You know a lot about this.
I heard it, dude.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, this is bad.
Yakulun.
I work with female sisters.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
How should the guy handle it if his profile's inside there and they have all these bad fit now?
This is backbiting, by the way.
Yeah.
Like if someone engaged in that's backbiting.
Oh, by the way, all the users, all the females, they're anonymous. They won't know like who is who. So like it's not names, but like they mention like their previous like relationships or like how did this person handle them and everything. So
This is also cowardly now. Look, it is good to warn people. So let's say, do you have a sister?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's not use sister. Let's say cousin, okay? You have a cousin.
Thank you for doing that,
Yeah, and I'm interested in marrying your cousin. And then sorry? You have a lot of cousins. I'm not saying which cousin, right?
Okay.
So at this point.
By the way, it's a joke.
Yeah, no problem. It's okay, my whole life's a joke. So anyway, like, you have this cousin, and so now you're looking to I approach you, hey, I want to talk to your cousin's family. So then you do some research. You go to Rami. And Rami's like,
why Rami? Out of everyone.
Why not Rami? So Rami's like, look, Saad's had a few different relationships in the past. That's permissible to mention. And Saad, like, there's been the girls he's been with girls before, and they're in a bad spot now.
So this guy Saad is a playboy, basically.
A player, not a playboy. That's a little different. So like at that particular situation, happened. Now to go on this app and upload all these things, people do change. Like Saad could have been like just someone who's off the path, and all of a sudden comes and here's Brother Masood's khutbah, and it changes his heart forever. And now he's like really changed. So this is why you want to avoid those situations. I don't like that idea. But there should be mechanisms for people to be able to talk. This is where the research comes in. Like I had a person who reached out to me recently. His daughter is getting married, and he said, look, there's a person from near your community. Can you check on this person? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So he gave me the information. I'm like, looks familiar. I don't know him. Let me, give me some background. So they gave me like, went to this school, etc., went to this madrasa. Like, cool, that's all I needed to know. Contacting that madrasa. The person calls me right away. Don't do it. I'm like, why? I need to know why, because this is a serious marriage situation. That person was engaged before. The girl broke off the marriage. And he's friend's daughter. Like, so this is where you don't, like, now this person could eventually do Toba, but this is where that research becomes important. Now, maybe my mind will change about this Tea Time app later, but right now, my first response is a bit revulsion, like, I don't like it. Like, imagine doing that to a woman. Like, this is called, what's the term? Qadaf. This is you make out verification, In court, you get 80 lashes of the whip for this. Islamic court. So this is not something that's to be taken lightly. And you can't besmirch someone's honor like that. But one-on-one, you should find out these things. And then, now let's say you go back to your cousin's parents. Like, look, Saad, he's had a few relationships before. But you can't also say, in his break, that's not allowed. That's just back.
I love your socks.
But you can say, like, this stuff, know this, I would move on from it.
Do we still have time for more things or Q&A time? Oh, Q&A time? Okay, I don't have the thing for the Q. Okay, while they're sending, I have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What if they have passed? Like, what if both, like...
Oh, it's a common question. Do you share past, etc.?
Should you share past in the relationships before the relationship?
This comes up. I had a friend who he got married, and actually he was looking for marriage. It took some time. He found someone. When he found someone, I remember he came to me. He met me. And he said, "Look, I need to talk to you." I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." So he said that I found someone, but she told me that she's been with a man before. And by been with a man, I think you guys all know what I mean. Like, she's committed zina. What do you think? So I was like, for you? No. It's like, why? I'm like, look, I know you. You can't handle this. Others might be able to look past it. So the person thought about it, and he's like, no, I think I can handle it. And got married. They got divorced. Now, was that the reason? No. But for many years, he kept playing in his mind like, this is going to sound really bad, but am I as good as this guy? Or if there was one guy, maybe there's a second guy. Maybe it's some people we're meeting right now. It drove him crazy. So you do not Islamically have to share your past. If you did tawbah, that's it. But know that a past never fully disappears. So the past may eventually come out. So sometimes it's a good thing. And I'll give an example of myself. It's a weird example. It's an example nonetheless. When I was young, there was one person I wanted to marry. That was the person. Every night I made dua. I went for Umrah when I was a teenager.
It was your wife, right?
Sorry?
It was your wife, right?
My wife's friend. So thanks a lot. Anyway, so I'd be at the Kaaba. I made dua like every day. And I would make this dua, oh Allah, if it's, because I want to be pious, oh, if it's best for me, let me marry her. But I didn't want to lose her. So I'm like, and if it's not best for me, make it best for me. You know, like that's how we pray dua. And so, this is like half a decade, more than half a decade. I'm making dua every day, every prayer. I marry her friend. I don't marry her. Now when I get married to my wife, and I never told that woman. That woman doesn't know, doesn't probably even know I exist.
I mean, we know it now, so we just gotta find your wife's friends.
But she
No, I'm joking.
and do what? She's married. So it's funny. So I told my wife when we got married, I'm like, look, I just gotta tell you something. This friend of yours, she doesn't know, I'm like, your friend doesn't know. I never told her. Something in my heart. So can you do me a favor? Just don't invite her over. My wife's like, why? I'm like, look, had a lot of deep feelings, even though it was all one way. If you want to hang out with her, go to her house. If you want her to come over, make sure I'm not home. She's like, why? I'm like, the reason is because I'm really happy with you. I don't want shaitan to bring my past into my life. So let's just leave that out. She's like, okay, cool. So you can bring up past sometimes. In this way, all these years we've been married, my wife doesn't invite her over if I'm going to be over. Now, I wouldn't be in the same room anyway. If the woman comes over, I go to my room or I leave the house. But I don't even want that. I want nothing from that. Even though she doesn't know or anything. Because I'm happy with my marriage. I want my marriage to be preserved. And so sometimes it is okay to share. Sometimes it's not. I lean towards the side of not sharing because most people are not able to handle it.
Now we can move on to Q&A.
Sure, why not?
Talk of all those my questions that I personally.
Yeah, no problem.
One question that was really asked was, what are signs of istikhara being good for marriage? What if things are moving smoothly but your heart does not feel at ease?
So this is a really, really good question. Istikhara signs.
Oh, by the way, we got to end up by 9:35, so
What time is it right now?
from now.
Okay, we can just stop now.
There's a few other questions, but depending on the answer, we can do one or two more questions.
Okay, I'll try to be quick. So istikhara signs. Here's what istikhara is not. I dreamt last night that I saw her. She was wearing all white. He was wearing green. We're flying in Jannah together. Garbage.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, that sounds great, but that's That's because there's hadith al-nafs. That's your nafs talking to you. If you're thinking about her or him all day, of course you go to sleep and think about her or him. How many of you code over here? Okay, so I wish I had a board over here. If you coded something, I probably would not understand what you said. So when a person has a dream, what you see is actually a code. Those of you who code, whatever's written on the board, you can interpret it. I can't. So dream interpreters, they can interpret it. So sometimes you might have a good dream, like for example, oh man, I had a dream last night that, like Masood's like, I had a dream last night, Saad, you were leading the Prophet in prayer. Sounds like an awesome
Inshallah
dream.
in the Jannah.
So you
Inshallah
know,
in Jannah.
you know what that means? I'm going to die. Because when does someone stand in front of the Prophet in prayer? Janazah. That means you're going to die. So it's not like, so you can't be careful like, oh, I had a dream where, that doesn't mean what we think it means. And oftentimes it's with these situations, hadith al-nafs. What's the istikhara saying? إن كنت تعلم أن هذا الأمر, if you know this affair, خير لي في دين ومعاشي أو وعاقبة عمري, or in one آجله وعاجله, فيسره لي, make it easy for me. So now what happens is you do istikhara, and then you're doing istikhara regularly, you go bring it up to your parents, and they're like, no. And then you approach that person's parents, they're like, no. And it's just no, 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 and it's all difficult. This is where we make our mistake. Oh, subhanAllah, Allah is just testing me to see if I truly love this person. No, Allah, if you ask me for advice, you're like, how do I get to 294? I'm like, oh, head south on Cicero all the way till you reach, I don't know, Alston, and then turn left, and I'm taking you all away from it. And then later you're like, why'd you do that? I'm like, oh, I want to test you if you would listen to me. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. If you ask him for advice, he's going to give you a response. So when you do istikhara, the response will be given clear. In my marriage, when istikhara, like my wife was brought up to me by someone else. I didn't, because I had the other person in mind, I didn't think about it. I'm like, I'll do istikhara. I did istikhara. The next day, that person was out of my mind. My wife was fully in my heart. I went to one of my teachers, that this is a clear sign you should move forward. So istikhara, it's not about seeing things. It's not necessarily about feeling things either. It's about, is the path being made easier for you? And if that is, that's a good sign. Now, what if things are going well, but you're still not developing feelings? Continue to do istikhara and see where the route goes. If after a little time some things come up that are questionable, the istikhara is saying move away from it. If you're like, no, I think I can move forward with it, go ahead. But at that point, I would couple the istikhara with shura, with taking consultation from people.
There's this one good question from the sister side is, there's actually two, but how should we deal with proposals from brothers who show one side but have unrealistic expectations of qualities they don't embody? And adding on with that question is, what if Muslim women have too much attitude and non-Muslims are better than them on this?
Okay. So the first one, what if the person has too much expectation, high expectations, etc.? I would say no. If the person is not willing to walk with you on that ladder of expectations, the answer is no. Because everything you do will never be good enough. And it's not worth it to go down that. No one should enter marriage where they're going to be psychologically abused that much that they feel like they're garbage. How many abusive relationships I've seen with husbands and wives, both ways, where they just feel like they can't even divorce. I'm not worth finding someone else, etc. No, you don't go down that path. If the person is showing one side and they're not willing to uphold their side of it, that person is not someone you should be with. For the second one, what if you find people who are non-Muslim, who have better attributes? Continue your search for other Muslims. And I actually don't perform nikahs of Muslim men and non-Muslim women. I don't. My stance is no. Yeah.
There's a new question that came on that's pretty, I thought it was very important, is, I missed the question, but it was, but the question was like, I think it was his brother who had who was talking to someone and like they finished talking like 8 years ago or something, but he's still going over it. He's like reliving those moments again and again. It's hurting himself. How should he go about it?
So it was a no, I'm assuming?
Huh?
It was a no, like it didn't work out?
It didn't I think that, let's say these two people meet up, they broke up, and then like he's still like reminiscing about her and everything.
Yeah, that happens.
How should the guy start working himself and moving on and getting ready for like other stages of life?
Yeah, I mean, so it's not that simple. Matters of the heart you can never get rid of completely. It's not like you can just find someone and you'll forget about her. It doesn't work that way. So what a person should realize is that this person was in your life for a reason. Allah put her there for a reason. It helped you figure some things out about yourself. Thank Allah and move on. And now begin to see if you can find someone else. If every time you start looking for someone else, this person's so overwhelming that you can't do her due justice, don't marry. But if you feel like this person's become like something in my backdrop, then I would look to move forward for marriage because the love for her will push this person out. I still sometimes have dreams of that one sister. I just wake up, I'm like, alhamdulillah, my wife is here. And I move on from it. I know it's shaitan putting it in my heart. I remember one dream, like that sister was like, why didn't you tell me? I woke up really messed up to that. I'm like, no, astaghfirullah. She doesn't even know. It's not like we're talking in our dreams to one another. I'm like, astaghfirullah, I have a wonderful wife, and that's it. And that's how you move on. And so those things will happen. It stays there. It stays there. And so you have to work on it. Certain azkar, dua that you make, mujahada that you do, but try to find someone else and she will take over, he will take over, inshallah.
We have time for one more question.
No.
What should you do if the spouses, they start getting bored of each other? Like the man finds the woman boring, or the woman starts finding the man boring. Like how should you go about it?
That's a really good question. Life isn't all excitement and entertainment, but you should take time to spice things up. I really don't like when men, the Prophet's lesson, you guys ever hear the chest to gut ratio? The chest to gut ratio is that it's the ratio of going up and down, right? And so the Prophet's lesson, his gut, his stomach never surpassed his chest. Never whatsoever. He always made himself look good for his wife. He always did miswak before. Why would you do miswak? Because you're going to have close proximity conversations, or you're going to kiss her. So you have to keep the mouth clean. He always made himself appear beautiful for his wife. Ibn Mas'ud, he used to Ibn Abbas, he used to like to wear nice clothing, nice shoes, because he said, I want my wife to dress up for me, I should dress up for her. So don't do this. The imam that performed our nikah, he was telling me a story about he's from Saudi, actually made dua for me. He's been in jail for a few years now. The government changed, they imprisoned him. So he was telling us a true story. He's like, I know this person. That he came home from work and they had a wedding to go to. So the woman got all dressed up, and then he saw her. He's like, why don't we just stay home tonight? She's like, okay. He's like, I'll go pick up food. We'll have a night together. So he goes to pick up the food. He comes back. She's back in sweats and everything. He said he made her put hijab on and took her to the wedding and dropped her off. Now, I don't agree with that. But the idea was he was so hurt, he'll dress up for everyone else and not for me. So you have to look good for your spouse. We're encouraged men to dye the white from our hair for our spouse. There's no reason men shouldn't be working out 10 years, 20 years, 30 years into their marriage. Why? Everyone's like, I got to be ready for my first night. And then what? The rest of your life is garbage? That should be every day. You should be considering how I can make myself look better. Person should not be stingy with compliments. Something I wrestle with, sometimes I'll look at my wife and I'll just marvel at her. I will. I can't say it. That stinginess of the heart. So you have to break that stinginess. So how do you keep things alive? Always mention the good things. You look really beautiful today. SubhanAllah, I was just thinking about how lucky I am to have you. Those words, they enter back in the heart. Why? إِذَا لَقِيتُمْ فِيَةً فَاثْبُتُوا وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهِ. When you face the opposing enemy, become firm by remembering Allah. If you remember Allah on your tongue, it gets into your heart. So when you're saying, I love you, when you're saying things like that, then it brings life back to it. And then spouses should have away time. Even with kids, there should be a date night, where the kids don't come and things like that. You have to have that. And there's more. That's not the conversation, so I'm not going into too much detail because the majority of you are not married. But it shouldn't, because it doesn't make sense to tell you guys about any of these things. But the idea is that it should be something that you make as an effort. It really sickens me that guys go out to eat with friends, they go out to play ball with friends, they go out to watch a movie with their friends. They don't go anywhere with their wife. They don't go anywhere with their wife. Your wife, your husband should be your best friend. Should really be your best friend. Someone's like, oh, brother, that's cliche. You are engaging in an action with that person that's closer than anyone else in this world, how could that person not be your best friend? And so there has to be a conscious effort to constantly try to make things appear better than the previous day. Sorry.
No, just getting an announcement. Basically, we ran out of time.
Yeah.
Can you just end us with a really good advice? Basically, the sisters felt like this whole talk was towards brothers only.
Oh.
Can you give us advice for this.
So why didn't you tell me? I would have just switched it over.
I'm sorry, I just found it out right now.
Okay, so do the sisters have questions you want me to answer? I mean, there's no 9:35 deadline. Like, if you want a few more minutes for the sisters.
I say, okay. Let me go find questions now.
Anytime I mention, like, it applies both ways, but yeah, no, I see what you're saying. This is why you have, like, female speakers come with the sisters, males one room, females a different room.
I wish I can go off. It was just only male.
No, it's okay, it's okay. No problem. Yeah, it would have been a whole different conversation then.
A question that I got was, in case that two people are interested in each other and claim getting to know each other for a period of time, what are the limits? Sometimes it gets out of hand. And what if it gets out of hand?
Look, man, sisters, I advise you, do not go down this path. There's nothing you will learn from a brother by having this alone time that you can't figure out through proper interactions. In fact, he's going to hide it more when he's interacting with you premarital. Why? Because he wants to win you over. You don't show your ugly side early on. So don't go down that path. Allah has made your heart very different than the hearts of men, and both of us have weakness within our hearts. Men, unfortunately, sometimes know how to play it, just like women know how to play it. So my advice for sisters in particular is that do not try to get to know a brother on your own. Now, I sound like the old man in the room, and I am the old man in the room, but I'm also the person who've already had to deal with 3 divorce cases today. And I've had double-digit divorce cases this week alone. You don't understand what's happening in the community until you have to sit in that office. So please tell them, if you can't talk to me, if you're not man enough to talk to my dad, you're not man enough to marry me. That's it. If you don't have a father who's alive, an uncle, a brother, the imam, whatever the case may be. So this is my advice directly to sisters and brothers. You can flip it towards yourself. Any other sister questions? Any other sister questions?
Actually, I got a small request from Adil himself. Actually, wait, before that, someone DM me this one. What if someone is logically the right person for you? Both people agree that they both make sense for each other. But person A, the guy, is still dealing with someone from their past and they can't get over it. Specifically, they have feelings of guilt and about how treated a previous person from their past, and it's preventing them from moving forward with marriage with someone else. Their heart is stuck over the pain and guilt about what they did to someone in the past.
Okay, so there's a sister, she's interested in a guy, everything logically checks out, they check out all the boxes, but he just can't get over what he may have done in the past to someone. I would say you have to get premarital counseling. If at the end of that premarital counseling, he's still not able to get past it, sisters, move on. Because guilt is so anything psychological is not easily curable. It's not easily, you can move on from it, but it takes time. And if he carries that guilt into your relationship, then his actions will be based on guilt rather than based on love for you or for logically assessing the situation. And guilt is a very damning and dangerous perspective upon which a person operates. People often are guilty to give a lot of money away when they would not have done so otherwise. So sisters, if that's the situation, I would say, let's get premarital counseling, see if this will work. If it doesn't work, if you can't move past it, then we just have to move on separately.
One more question.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the importance of vetting brothers who have internalized misogyny and toxic masculinity, which has been carried intergenerationally?
Yeah. So how do you vet brothers? The same way you vet sisters.
This is the last question. We're going to end off after this.
Okay, no problem. So sisters, how should you vet brothers? Well, first things first, recognize that what society labels as toxic masculinity, misogyny, is not always misogynistic or toxic in its masculinity. And sometimes what society does not label as toxic is actually very toxic. So I would say don't accept the Western ideal, accept a holistic ideal. Your culture is important, your religion is important, where you live is important. All of those areas have ideals of toxicity, and identify those. Now, if someone has that, then you have to see, is it immaturity? Men sometimes are just immature. In fact, we mature much later than women, much, much later than women. My wife still calls me a child. I'm 44 years old. It just, I have a 19-year-old son who acts more mature than I do. The reality is that we mature later. So if it's maturity, that sometimes can be confused with toxic masculinity. That toxicity is not permanent. It's just something they have to be helped past. And there you talk to someone who can be a mentor for that person to help identify, is this really toxicity or is it immaturity? Now, let's say you identified that it's immaturity. Then you have to realize, is it the right time to marry this person, or do I give this person more time? Let's say it's actual toxicity. Then you have to see, can this toxicity be undone? If the toxicity can't be undone, then it's time to move on to someone else. But the toxicity can be undone. They're just in the wrong crowd, and now you have someone who's going to help talk to that brother and let that brother understand that, look, bro, you want to get married, you're 28 years old, and you're still talking about A, B, and C. We talked about that back in the day in high school, in the locker room. You got to grow up. The person's like, yeah, you're right. These aren't real ideals that we should be embodying. And alhamdulillah, you can move forward. But the vetting comes through research. It doesn't come from your conversation with them. Because what's going to happen? They'll hide it. We guys will hide it to win you. You're like our goal. Guys, we get very tunnel visioned at times. And so you're our goal. And then what are we doing? Doing everything to make sure that we attain that goal. And that means lose ourselves in the process. But once you got the goal, what happens? Have you noticed after weddings, a few weeks, what happened to the guy who's hitting the gym every day? Because good.
He stops and he gains 10 pounds.
Yeah, because...
I probably know a brother from here like that.
I don't want to mention any names, but I know many brothers who've done that. But the idea is why? Because they're tunnel vision. They got what they have. They moved on. So when you vet them, don't vet them yourselves because they will lie to you. And oftentimes, you also will develop feelings towards them, and you'll be willing to take their lie as a partial truth in hopes that maybe you can be with them. I know we're out of time, so.
Jazak Allah for everyone for coming for this talk and everything.
Did I balance it out at the end?
Yeah, everything's good.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna give the mic to him.
Thank you, Jazak Allah for coming out. Thank you, Shaykh Saad, for the beautiful talk. Please just remember that fill out the feedback form. It really helps us improve our events, and it helps us plan these events much better. Also, just as a side note, we're also recruiting. Through those links, you will find the form for that. So please, if you're interested, please fill that out. Drinks are ready in the back, so you guys can go ahead and grab those. And there are limited non-dairy options on both brothers and sisters side. So please grab those if you have dietary restrictions. Jazakallah khair.
For those people whose questions aren't answered and everything, you guys can personally book appointments with Shaykh Saad and get your questions answered. Yeah. And I also believe there's sisters Alama too that can, she's your wife, right?
Yeah. So my number is well known in the community. It's 224-628-0249. You can reach out, preferably WhatsApp whenever you want. The sisters, you do have a female scholar in residence. You can reach out to her as well, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, everyone.